So the question I get asked the most on social media these days is how high can Nvidia stock go from here? I'm serious. That is the most popular question I get asked these days, especially now that Nvidia is a widely held stock. You've tripled your money over the past year. You're up almost 60% this year. And look at the results last week. So $800, that is the $2 trillion valuation mark for the stock. First trillion took 24 years, second trillion took roughly around 9 months or so. Fourth largest company in the world, so now it's bigger than Amazon and Alphabet. And $20 billion worth of options that were traded on Nvidia last week. That is incredible. That's more than the rest of the Mag 7 combined. So more than Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, and Tesla combined. And $20 billion in options, most of those were call options. Those are contracts that bet that the stock is going to rise from here. If you look at the price on the $1,300 contract for Nvidia, that's doubled in price, meaning that you have to pay double the amount to bet that Nvidia will get to $1,300. That's roughly 80% from these current levels. Now, the question is, are we in this bubble territory as people have been concerned about? Now, if you judge it by traditional metrics, which is price to earnings, bear with me, price of the stock versus earnings of the company, you're looking at roughly 32 times or so forward earnings, what they've got it for the next quarter or so. Sure, that's higher than the average on the S&P 500, which is roughly at 20 PE, but still, 32 is half what Tesla is currently trading at. And if you look at the average Wall Street brokerage, most of them are still predicting 867 for Nvidia stock. So you could roughly get 10% from these levels. Now, another smart analysis that I read came from Fundstrat that looked at forward free cash flow yield level. So free cash flow, important in these kind of markets with high interest rates. So free cash flow is how much the company makes by selling its products outside of taxes and expenses. And for Nvidia, according to Fundstrat, it's at roughly 3%. That's only slightly less than the S&P 500 average of 3.5%. So what Fundstrat is saying is that Nvidia is not looking too expensive or overpriced on those metrics. And remember that Nvidia dominates the AI chip market. They have 80% market share for compute, as it's called, and that's a long way ahead of their next closest competitor, which is AMD, which has roughly 10%. It's pretty incredible that this $2 trillion tech giant was forged over a cup of bottomless coffee and a Grand Slam breakfast in a Denny's booth back in the mid-1990s in San Jose. Fast forward 30 years, and some say it is the most important company for the next generation of compute and technology, artificial intelligence.